I am the Commissar, that's my name. Forged alliance forever, that's the game. And who have we got with a claim to fame? Let's go and see. Today we have 4 players, so let's say hello to this fantastic 4. Hello, you! Okay, we've done that, now let's introduce them. So we got the cold team in the west and the hot team in the east. Going first for the cold team, we have OldKing, who is 1251 rated. He's UEF and he's baby blue. And to his south, his compatriot is this guy, 1615 rated, in Seraphim, and he's dark blue. And their mirrors on the hot team. Up here we have KolorexxPL, who is 1549 rated, and Cybran, he's in burgundy. And last but not least, this is Winter, who is 1313 rated, he's also Cybran, and he is in red. Quick look at the map. So, it's a nice little map. Reminds me a bit of High Noon in shape, but it's going to be very different in gameplay because each team has these protected areas at the back with an expansion. Each team has these forward expansions, which might be a bit riskier, but which have a lot of reclaim in. That's 3,000 reclaim aside, and then more contested are going to be these northern and southern expansions. So it looks to start with as if OldKing and this guy are staying in their bases, whereas Winter is already heading forward. And Winter already has an engineer heading out to claim the southern expansion. OldKing sending an engineer out to claim the northern expansion. Very civilized so far, nobody fighting over anyone else's territory. Now both Kolorexx and this guy are heading out towards their closest expansions, and they will get there first, but it looks as if Winter is actually coming to contest some of this, so that's quite brave, given that this guy is not only closer but has access to units from his base, which is right there. Winter is also the first into the water, so being very forward here on all counts. Kolorexx soon follows, so both the hot team have entered the naval game, whereas neither of the cold team has. Will that play a big part? Let's find out. Looks like the fight's about to start. Quick note here, we have a transport for this guy. What's it gonna go for? Well, he looks like he's sending it straight to the back to claim this expansion, and the hot team haven't done anything of the sort. The two comms of this guy and Winter see each other, and they start having a little fight. Not happy to share the space right there. Meanwhile, the expanding engineers have just about reached their relative islands. Submarine out from Winter, but Winter has stopped trying to shoot his opponent as instead grabbing his reclaim. That's a brick wreck with 800 mass in it, which is quite nice, and this guy realizes what's happening and starts trying to grab it himself. But Winter's quite well positioned here, and he's sucking up a good amount of mass. And total mass is 15k for Team 1, only 10k for Team 2, so they're well ahead there. This guy gets into the water, but Winter's submarine is already there. It can't shoot the engineers because these are Seraphim engineers which hover, but it can shoot that factory, and it's doing so, and Winter already has a second submarine on the way. Now Winter's taken a fair bit of damage in his attempts to eat up this guy's reclaim and has been driven back into the water. But he might come across a problem soon, which is that there's a torpedo launcher going up for this guy, and I don't know whether he can see it or not from here. Well, now he can see it from here. And he goes for straight at reclaiming the engineer, building the factory, and building the torpedo launcher. That's pretty nice, but the torpedo launcher is still going up. I like that play a lot. Meanwhile, though, I see a drop from KolorexxPL sending 2 engineers rather than just one on this northern island. But OldKing has repaid the favour by landing 3 engineers on this southern island. We'll see how those fare in a minute, but I expect that both drops will be successful and cause the island to change hands. With the torpedo launch up, Winter is forced to back off and his subs also retreat. Over here, KolorexxPL is just capturing those mexes and he's eating the engineers, so there's nothing to stop him. Down here, OldKing is being a bit more conservative, starting with turrets and planning a factory. He's obviously hoping to set up a bit more here, and if Winter has noticed, which he hasn't, then he will he might react, but he hasn't noticed, so that engineer is just sitting there doing nothing. We're seeing drops coming up from both the hot team to the back expansion at last, but cold team have held this for much longer. And they're slightly ahead in eco, though that may change when these mexes are correctly taken by the hot team. OldKing getting into the water as well, so everyone's in the water now, but it does look as if hot team still have the naval advantage. So OldKing's built that factory, but it stopped producing anything, and he hasn't started it moving yet. As we suspected, KolorexxPL has just taken the northern expansion entirely. Important to get a good amount of liquid in you people, don't forget that. So naval production for the cold team now 4 factories. Naval production for the hot team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factories. And this one is on its way to T2, and I don't think we have any other naval tech on the field just yet. Three subs for this guy, 3 subs, 4 subs, and a lot of frigates for Winter. So it does seem like Winter does have the advantage, but none of his frigates can fire on those subs, only his own subs. And this guy is producing more subs, or was. He seems to have paused his factory, but he is still assisting them. Interesting. Any other tech on the field? None from this guy. T2 Air from OldKing. And no other tech from Hot Team. So you've got T2 Navy and T2 Air, and that's the only tech we've got so far. Meanwhile, looks like Winter wants to have a naval engagement. OldKing also sends a sub, so we've got 4 subs against 3 now. So despite the fact that it looks like Winter's got a lot more, much of what he's got can't fire back. And this guy is feeling defensive. He's putting up another torpedo launcher. However, this guy retreats while OldKing's sub crazily charges in. Regen aura going down for this guy. That's rather interesting. What's he going to support with it? Because there isn't much chance for spam going across the map. Will he go into the water and try and support his navy? But KolorexxPL's navy comes round, and that's going to cause problems. While Winter is going for the torp, so full-on naval investment here. Not surprisingly on a map like this. Eco upgrades there, but both teams pretty much even in eco for the moment. Cold Team seems like it has better air, but the engagement is going down over Hot Team's navy, and that might cause problems for Cold Team. Two drops. So that airfight has at least distracted from that. We have... Oh, we're going to come back to that in a moment. We have artillery being dropped into the back of Hot Team's base by this guy. And we have a Sparky! My friends, it is a Sparky! A Sparky is building triads on this island, and that triad looks pretty nicely positioned, because it can hit all of the mexes on that island, though they haven't actually seen that one yet. Meanwhile, the Zoes drop for this guy, and he immediately gets to work smashing these mexes. They're only T1, so it's not going to be a huge amount of damage, but it will stop them upgrading, and it will drive them off this position. Might also get that Hydro. Meanwhile, OldKing upgrading to T3 on his comm. What could he be planning with that? Winters, however, has finished his torpedo, and this guy is indeed using his regen over to help his engineers and his ships. But in this naval fight, it feels like it's only going to go one way, and we mentioned the T2 up here in Navy from Kolorex. Well, he's got a Salem destroyer out. So, time for a big naval engagement. A gunship is clearing up these Zoes, though it's got to come back and get these as well. But that's a complete wipeout for that utter back expansion here, whereas the one for Cold Team is nicely at T2. The Salem opens up on these naval yards, and it's backed up by a decent force of T1. Winter's Torps are going to do good work against this. Overall, they've just got a much better navy, and OldKing won't be able to lend any support with Kolo's Salem and navy just shutting down his production. Look at this. This is brutal, and this guy might be in trouble if he doesn't get out of there, because there's a lot of subs in there for to do damage under the water, and he will be able to take a bit of fire from the frigates when he comes out of the water. Where is your air or navy? You have nothing, says this guy. Well, that's some air, and my friends, do you see what I see? I see a Tech 3 comm being picked up and flown towards an enemy base. This guy's torpedoes have dealt with quite a lot of the subs, and he's still in the water, but I don't think that's going to last, and OldKing is completely knocked out of the water now. But all eyes on this. OldKing lands his comm with another Sparky. Everybody give me some love for those Sparkies. What's your favourite underused unit? Tell me in the comments. And he immediately throws down plasma cannons. Now this is a good choice rather than going straight for triads, because there isn't anything in the way of tech down here that's going to really stop him on the land. This gunship might cause a problem, but he's getting railguns out to take them out. And unsurprisingly here, we do see that Cold Team have been entirely forced out of the water. OldKing is trying to set up a little naval yard here, but it's going to be a big ask to counter all this. Mind you, what we didn't see is that, well, we saw the Sparky start here, but this Sparky has indeed claimed control over this expansion. So both side expansions in the hands of Cold Team, and the base for winter is going to be in some trouble, as nothing has been able to stop OldKing's comm just stomping forward and setting up some shenanigans. Winter gets out a cruiser, which begins opening fire on this little beachhead of OldKing's, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be able to do more than pester him a little bit, especially if he gets any further into the island. This Salem has gone naughty naughty walkie walkie though, and it is bombarding the base of OldKing at home. Winter reclaiming all of the navy from this guy. Total mass collected almost dead even on 90k apiece. Code Team are ahead in generated mass, though, and that's no surprise given that Winter's main base has now completely fallen. Completely. With the exception of 2 mexes to OldKing. And OldKing has now got a SAM up with using that Tech 3 build capacity on his comp to defend it, and he's working on triads. Now, Kolo is defending. He's got 2 artillery pieces up and is working on a 3rd, and he's also working on Cerberuses further forward. Cerberus? Cerberodes? What's the plural of Cerberus? It's a proper name, so... Anyway, there are now 3 triads up here for OldKing, and he's working on a 4th, and despite the fact that that Cerberus is under shields, it will probably go down, but those triads are being taken out by that artillery. Now, Winter has retreated his navy a bit. He has got that cruiser out, and that will hurt these torpedo bombers, but there's nothing really here to stop the torpedo bombers, and they're focusing on his comm. But thanks to these artillery that have been spammed out by OldKing, Winter is now in quite a precarious economic situation, having only the eco from his commander. That's all. That's commander production, nothing. Winter has been completely wiped off the map, eco-wise otherwise. He has managed to get a Salem out before that happened, though, and that is walking up behind OldKing. And OldKing's going to have a bit of trouble with that, because even though he has Ravagers, Ravagers do not outrange Salems. Kolo has tried pushing in, but the triads have been enough to see him off. Meanwhile, Winter is trying to retreat, and those torpedoes are still falling down from the skies upon him. These destroyers don't have much anti-air. This cruiser does, but it's only 1 cruiser, and if the torpedoes focus the cruiser and then go back to Winter, they may cause damage, and Winter's down into the red. This Salem has done good work on OldKing's base, taking out 12,000 mass and all his main mexes, but not as much as the damage that's been done here. We'll check back on it in a moment, but Winter is down to just 600 hit points. But his cruiser has saved him. There's 1 torpedo bomber left, but I don't think that 1 hit will take out Winter, who's regenerating fast with his 2 vets and cybernness. So Winter survives by the skin of his teeth, and look at this. Code Team are now ahead by a factor of 3 on eco because they've wiped out 2 entire bases. And they've got both expansions, which despite this navy here from Winter, he hasn't tried to kill this, or this. Does he see it? Yeah, he does. So he should be doing something with that. Though I understand why his focus might be elsewhere, given what's happened to his base. Now his Salem is getting damage done, and it's probably going to take out that SAM, which has 2 stars of veterancy. That's pretty good. 11 kills on that SAM. Now we have gunships and T1 bombers. Winter, however, unhappy with having that miserable little eco commit suicide. I don't blame him. That was quite a problem he had, and Kolorexx might be able to use this stuff better with the eco he still has. Kolorexx has, however, sent a Salem up here as well, and it's gone stalking onto the land to take out the position here of OldKing. The poor Sparky falls to the Salem. Alas, we knew him well. This horde of gunships looks like it's coming to try and stop the Salem that is causing OldKing some problems, and if I were OldKing I would be responding to the Salem by putting up artillery. But look at this, he's completely evicted Kolo from these original starting bases, and Kolo was relying only on this expansion and this expansion to support himself. The gunships kill the Salem, but the cruisers are causing them problems. There's now 2 cruisers and a 3rd on the way, as Kolo realizes very correctly that he has complete naval dominance, but he needs to worry about attacks from the air, so cruisers are the order of the day, and he has a lot queued up. And they make short work of these gunships. Now, Kolo has just walked an engineer onto Code Team's main island, and it is building spam factories. Look at the eco difference now, though. 119 to 158k. Code Team 40,000 mass ahead total collected. They were very ahead in mass production, but are we seeing a power store? Yes, this guy is very power stored, and so he's not able to produce quite as much. But we have another counter drop onto the expansion in the north from Kolo, who's trying to put up T2 power there while he just recaptures the rest of it with his engineers, which is wise, as he's very much aware that his power and mass production on the main island is under threat from OldKing. Is Kolo having power trouble? Not anymore, well, not at the moment, even though he's building that, but you can see that he needs a bit more. He has sent some units to try and take out these things here, but he could send frigates to go for these two mexes. However, he might be more worried about the cruisers being torp bombed out, and his naval yard here could be at risk, though he does have another naval HQ back here. However, that looks like artillery fire, and OldKing does have artillery, which could range quite a lot. And he's got tactical missile launchers, which have been doing good work. That could be a good target, the T2 naval HQ there, especially if he can kill this one with torp bombers. But that's looking less likely now that 3 cruisers are massed up here with a 4th under construction. And these torpedo bombers are dying as soon as they're built, especially as this guy is just trickling them a bit. He needs to mass a few back here. And he's also in trouble from these factories that we noted earlier. There is a lot of Mantis and Medusa spam pottering around, and this base of OldKing's that was lost to the Salem was rebuilt to T2 mexes by this guy, but now is under threat from the spam, and OldKing picks himself up again in his transport and drops himself further back. If it worked for the first time, try it again. Immediately, T1 point defences go down. He's got a couple of railguns queued up, which is just as well because there'll be gunships coming out here. Here's the first of them. But this feels like there's going to be nothing to stop it for the hot team. But 2 can apparently play at that game, and KolorexxPL has brought his comm across to invade the island of the Code team. Now there's a lot of bombardment coming in from this navy, but it has limited range, and KolorexxPL is going to be supported only by this T1 spam. He's got gun, he's got stealth. This guy doesn't have gun. He does have regen, but he doesn't have gun. And thanks to Kolo's stealth, he doesn't know that Kolo's coming. Well, now he can guess, but he doesn't know for sure. This expansion of Kolo's is taken out by OldKing's Lobos. But look at that, look at that. We're now at 4 times the eco, maybe even 5 or 6 for Cold Team than Hot Team, thanks to this expansion having been taken out as well. Well, this expansion is all nice T2 cat mexes. There's T3 cat mexes in this base. Salems walk up and start bombarding the base of this guy, and where's his HQ? It's there. They need gunships, and they need them fast to take out those Salems, but this guy is too worried about microing his comm and these bombers to take out this factory installation, which is now up to 9 factories, and it could be within range of some far from here. The Salem that cleared up this has come down. I do feel like OldKing really needs to start working on some of these mexes. He even started a T2 mex here, but he hasn't finished it. What does OldKing's eco look like? Well, that's why he's not working on it. He's overflowing because he hasn't got the build power to use it on. Well, he does. It's all on his comm, but his comm's not doing anything. Assist that with that, my dude. You can get his eco. You can take it. So these Salems are causing trouble for this guy, and they're now they've killed his air HQ, so he can't make gunships anymore. In order to fight them, we have a huge engineer evacuation here. So this guy is getting a bit pincered by some of these Salems. And to give old guy his due, well, this missile launch is doing pretty well. What's it firing at now? I think it's just taking out these mixes. And he has started laying claim to these mixes, though many of them are still only T1. He's got a couple of T2s in there. But old guy, all his production apart from this one damaged mix is now, or his eco, sorry, is now on this island here. And I don't think this eco is going to last with these Salems pushing in. These Salems down here are making a complete mess of this guy, but this guy's still got some reserves back here. He might be having power trouble soon though. Nope, what he's having is, it doesn't have enough build capacity trouble, because what's he going to do with this mass that he's getting? He needs to throw something up here, and he is throwing it all into Tech 2, Tech 3 air? I can't remember whether that's the first thing in the queue is what it's doing or not. Let's see. Looks like, yeah, T2 air. But his comm is trying to flee from this spam, but it finds these two Salems. Where's his comm? On my island, says this guy, who's very unhappy with this state of affairs. And this guy comes under Salem fire, and does he have the energy? He does not have the energy to overcharge. He's got the capacity to if he gets the energy, but he doesn't have the energy because he's lost it all. Look at all those T2 mechas that are dead. He's lost it all to the Salems. Needy, he says, and indeed he does. I think that he might have a problem at the hands of these two naughty boys who have walked up to shoot him in the face. They spider around, and he's down into the red. 1,500 points, 1,300 points. Is he going to survive? He is not. This guy is taken out, so it's now a 1v1, and the two surviving commanders are on each other's islands. Confident that Navy is completely won, which it is, Kolo sends down his Navy to clear out the other expansion. So Kolorex is going to have both expansions, though he's going to take, and he has got build capacity there as well, which can quickly take it over. And look at this, all the starting mixes for Cold Team have been destroyed. All the starting mixes for Hot Team has been destroyed. We are looking at a full base trade here. When was the last time you saw that? I love me a bit of base trade, and dear me, but this is certainly living up to its to expectations. All four mixes in this expansion here, which Kolo has taken over, are being upgraded, and he can afford a lot because he can just reclaim all of this. There are naval forces massing up here, but I think that there's some naval work that could be done bombarding OldKing from the sea. OldKing is trying to take out this last bastion on the northern island for Kolo, and I think he will, because that's only a T1 air factory and like one jester maybe, but what with the artillery bombardment from up here, well, there it is, and the horde of Lobos running in, I don't think that's going to survive. Kolo is setting up, but still, OldKing has the huge eco lead by a factor of 4 at least. Oop, but that's changing. I see Kolo getting these upgrades finished on the mexes, getting these mexes taken over. Could we be in for a change of fortunes? Look at total mass collected though. The Cold Team has literally twice the mass collected of the Hot Team. So with half an hour in, who do you think's going to win? Tell me in the comments below. We have a complete base trade. Cold Team still has this on their starting island, which is actually looking pretty good, and he is defending it with gunships against the T1 units that KolorexxPL is sending in. But KolorexxPL has both the flank expansions, and he's got this expansion on the Cold Team's main island, whereas OldKing has not been able to do the same. But OldKing has T3 air at the back here, which could be interesting. It's UEF T3 air, and I don't think he actually has access to Seraphim tech at all anymore. Oh, yes he does, yes he does. He has Tech 3 air at the back for Seraphim as well. So, call me a liar there, and he's setting up a well-defended naval base with T2 torpedoes, but these Salems should be able to clear it up, and they can just attack the torpedo launchers from above while out of range. Artillery is a good defense against Salems though, and OldKing is using it. Meanwhile, we've still mainly only got spam production for Kolo. He has got himself a T2 naval yard back up, but he hasn't got any air tech, and with OldKing at T3, that may be a problem for KolorexxPL. OldKing going for T2 Navy down here, but I feel that those Salems are going to render that a little bit moot, along with this cruiser they push in. That cruiser will defend from anything he can pop out of this air factory. Now, that's a lot of torpedoes from those T2 torpedo launchers, and he needs to focus them down. The gunships come in, but the cruiser makes short work of them. Now, a cruiser from Kolo has come and taken out the Lobos that were doing damage here, and he has rebuilt this one mechs. I'm surprised he still got these ones. Could have had a quick drop of Lobos down there and those would be dead. Mind you, I'm surprised that OldKing isn't going for a little more in the way of air shenanigans, like drop down here. There's nothing to stop him here, and he knows that because he's got a scout. That's one way to avoid the torps in the water. Get back on the land. We've been seeing a good lot of walkie-walkie from KolorexxPL, and I do like to see a bit of that. I would say that Cybran is my second favourite race to play at the moment. Seraphim's probably my favourite, but Cybran second. And I'm really loving the fact that we actually now that Kolo's got these mexes, this is literally a full base trade. How cool is that? And now we're going for T3 air tech as well from KolorexxPL. That's wise. He's seen the air scouts. He knows that OldKing could be producing more, though I'm surprised he isn't. He's got T3 mexes here. What's OldKing spending his mass on? He's spending it on something, but I don't know what. Could be focusing on production down here, maybe? Yeah, that must be it. And the artillery under the shield fires at the Salem. The Salem, look at that, with 20,000 mass killed. It takes an arty hit, 2 more of those and it's dead. Kolo setting up very thoroughly over here. I feel OldKing could be doing more to expand and take this. He's got a lot of build power, which is that he's trying to get back into the Navy. And he is again upgrading here. And this time, either Kolo doesn't know about it or he doesn't care about it, but he's letting... Maybe he's more worried about these Nothers, which are bombing out his nice new base. But the Nothers get too close to the cruisers and die. Now, looking at the eco, they're almost level again in terms of production. Sure, the there's still the huge lead from before that OldKing accrued and total mass collected, but as of right now, they're actually producing the same amount of eco thanks to these two expansions, now almost completely at T2. Apart from that one, which he's forgotten to upgrade from Kolorex. So it's suddenly looking a lot more balanced. And we are seeing destroyers coming out here. He's got a 1 on 2 done and a lot more on the way. He's got 23 more queued up. But what is this? Is this a monkey? Now, OldKing needs to scout that. He needs to send his scout over here and know the monkey's coming, because he could flatten it with broadswords. Well, he's started on broadswords already, if he produces enough before it comes out of the water here. I'm assuming it'll come and try and kill this first, unless they know where he is, or want to just try and go for a snipe. Or he might try and finish this off and set up camp here, but I think he'll try and send the monkey straight across here when it's ready. So OldKing definitely knows that. Oh no, he's paused it because he was having power trouble. Oof, that's some pain. He needs to get 2 or 3 of those P-gens up before he can really work on broadswords. Three destroyers. Is that going to be? There actually aren't any destroyers in here. These could just submerge, and then they don't have to worry about the subs. Or they could fire their beam weapons and 4 destroyers. So and we do have some drops of artillery. OldKing lands a bunch of Lobos and they start smacking down these mexes, but there's a decent number of Medusae coming up to fight back, and I don't think that's going to get anywhere. Meanwhile, the monkey is done. Where's he? Well, he's going straight for the snipe. He's going up to the back. This fellow's a little out of position, but none of these are destroyers, and he's just able to sort of pooter around shooting at these cruisers. While, sure, there's some hunting here, but not enough to stop 6 Seraphim destroyers. This could actually be a threat, especially if Kolo stays in the water. Monkey is on its way, though. It's so just on its way. This is deep water. That is. Oh, look at that. So deep you can't see the monkey at the bottom. That destroyer's badly damaged him, but it's dodging its way away. An 8th and a 9th destroyer come out. Okay, that one's got to go down, surely. Huh, maybe not. So Kolorex needs to worry about getting some more destroyers in the water, and he's got some queued up by the looks of things, but not until he's got 2 more cruisers done. I think he needs to focus those destroyers a bit more. And Destroyer Fire has taken out these 2 mexes for Kolorex, so OldKing doing good work with them. If we suddenly get complete investment into destroyers, meaning that Kolo loses the naval side of things again, that could turn matters completely on its head. Code Team OldKing, I guess, back up in the lead on eco by a little bit, not quite as much as before, only about 30. But it is something. He has got a couple of mexes dead over there. And speaking of that drop, I see another Zui drop flying in. I say Zui, Lobo. He's as I mentioned, he's not got any Seraphim tech on this side. And another one. And this time it doesn't look like there's much in immediate position to stop them, because it's all over here. So he might get some severe damage done here. These destroyers combined with these drops are looking good. But where's that monkey, and has he got any gunships? He has started work again on the gunships, but does he actually know about the monkey? He has not got a clue. Immediately, these Lobos trash a bunch of mexes. Some of them fall back a bit, but oh yes, there's Cerberus there, which he is going to kill. And his destroyers are eating this navy. This is great. And now he knows about the monkey. Actually, does he? That might have been killed by the Salem, but he will in a moment when that engineer comes into its way. And he's got a couple of gunships here, but they're one broadsword, two broadswords, three broadswords. These Lobos getting damage done, but this monkey is obviously where it's at. And he doesn't notice. Two of the broadswords are just killed by the monkey's actual laser. The third one comes out. He's desperately focusing everything on the broadswords, and he's now turning his comm to build triads, because his comm has a huge amount of build power in his T3, but it means he's going to be standing in the way of the monkey. And the monkey's still into the green. That's not going to save him, and OldKing explodes at 41 minutes. My loyal viewers, what did you think of that? A complete base trade makes you all happy on the inside. And with whole areas changing control back and forth, do you think that OldKing should have won that one? He had more eco, he had more everything, but what he didn't have was a scout that warned him about that monkey, and he stopped producing those broadswords for too long. He needed that defense. Tell me what you would have done in his position, tell me which team you were supporting and all that. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe and obey. I'm the Commissar, and I'll see you next time.